tell me, when did following God and living life become so serious? Why is it when I walk into a Whole Foods, when I've decided that I want to go get a croissant, I want to go get a cinnamon roll, and I go in there and I think to myself, oh, I should do something great for Mom. I should go get her a brown butter slice of cake, dude, just like how she loves. And then I think to myself, well, what is truly the best thing to do? And why do I have to second guess myself? And why is there just a figuring out? Why is it this bigger than life sort of idea? Why do I have to calculate sort of all this sort of future, why am I sort of living for this kind of future? To sustain and ration out, my resources, my life force, this thing called money. I'm all sorts of fucked up, right? Like, conditioned. And that's a me problem, because I want to be able to walk in. I just want simple solutions to things that aren't so simple when you really get into it. You see, I want to be glazed over when I walk over into the Whole Foods. I want to not think as much as possible. I want to be able to just to be able to have, fuck it, I'll say it. I just want God to just pilot me in that moment. I don't want to have to think. I don't want to have to do anything. When I get on the plane, I don't want to have to think about, I don't want to be the pilot of that. It's like, where are we going? I don't know. I want to just be able to put the destination into the GPS or whatever and just have that take me where it is I want to go. I want it all my way. I want all my desires, hitting right when I want them. I want it. That's to say, like, I want the answers to be the things that I want them to be, right? I want to be able to walk into a grocery store and just have that be that. I walk in there, I get what I want, I'm out. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I don't want to have to be thinking about all these things. It's like, at what point are you over-engineering a moment, right? At what point are you over-analyzing any sort of decision you're making? At what point are you putting too much energy into small ideas? Why? And does it matter? And does that matter? Truly. I spend a lot of my time knowing. I spend a lot of my time making my environment everything it should be. When I walk into a place and I have a little notation, I have a little thing that I notice, I shift it if it's in my control to do so. I move it, I adjust it, and I make things right. I make my environment right. And sometimes I do feel like, is there something that I'm missing out on because I'm spending so much time being meticulous and very detail-oriented, that I'm missing out on something bigger than that? Or am I completely disillusioned on that? Like, do I have the bird in one hand and then I'm looking for another bird in another hand, right? Do I have the sort of, hey, yeah, you understand the meaning of life. It's to take your time. It's to be thoughtful. It's to be mindful. It's to be very intentional. Or is it the complete opposite? Is that the way? Is that the way? Because I feel like, you know what? I feel like there has to be a sort of middle ground to this. There has to be a middle ground to this. Okay, there's definitely a middle ground to this. The main lesson to this whole thing is that there is a middle way. Okay, there is a point where everything comes to you at a sort of diminishing returns. If you know, you'll have diminishing returns. You know, at first, this is my story, okay? This is me. I'll walk you through my story of what it is like to be in my shoes. Okay? On one side of the pendulum, I swing and, things have less meaning to them. Things matter less. I won't think about what the meaning of things are. I won't think about what it is to color coordinate my clothes. Like, what is the signal? Like, what are the signals that I'm sending off when I'm wearing brown shorts, brown and red socks, red shoes, and burgundy shirt? I don't think about that at all. Then there comes a point in time, it's because I don't have time. It's because I don't care. It's because I don't want the world to have ultimate absolute meaning. I don't like the headspace of that. I don't like thinking that this means that. I don't want to start having sort of like schizophrenic frickin' just random plugins of meaning. I don't want my life to be flooded with all sorts of just an abundance of associations. That's one. Two is, sometimes I try and really get to the core of it. I think to myself, how toxic is it to be led through the world, being handheld and navigated and pulled by the carrot that is sight, seeing? I don't want to have to look in the mirror and check and do a fit check. I don't want to have to look in the mirror and think to myself, I don't want to wear that. It doesn't look good. I want like a nice blend. I want a nice blend, right? I want maybe 10% or less. I want 10% or less to be it about the sight, the seeing, the sort of looking. Does it look okay? Is it aesthetically all right? 10% or less. I want it to be in that sort of caring about it. 90% of it right now, for certain, I want it to be about the feel of it. How does it feel in the first person? If I didn't have any mirrors to look out, how does it feel when I look, when I feel the sort of texture of whatever it is that I'm wearing, the feel of the shoes and the socks that I'm wearing, the feel, of the material. How does it feel? How does it feel to wear the sort of color combination you see as you look down, from your face at your body? What does that speak to you? What does that say to you? What kind of feeling do you get from that, from that perspective? Not the perspective of looking out at the mirror. That's always that always comes from a place of judgment. That comes from a place of, how does this look? How am I being perceived? And, what is awry? What is wrong with this? There's hardly ever a sort of like, you from that perspective, you hardly ever look out into the mirror like, that's to say, to highlight positives. Very much so. It's only sort of flagging down and doing comb-overs on what is negative, what is out of place. And so I want to get out of that headspace entirely. I want to get out of that operating system entirely. I want to get out of that mode of thinking entirely and transcend into something even greater. It's a complete silent retreat. It's a sensory input retreat. I don't want I don't want the thing to be, I don't want the thing of significance to be anything of the sort of, what is, to be, what is impressive about this, or anything like that. I want it to come from first-hand principles. I want it to come from first-hand values. I want it to come from base principles. I want it to come from, what is most direct. And so, that's definitely that idea. Next on that is that there's definitely a happy medium. Because all of a sudden you could just get stunted with a whole bunch of just extra feedback loop thrown into your system. Too much stimulation is not it. And so I ask, well, what is the pathway? Okay, so let's say you swung too far in the direction that everything has meaning. Everything has some kind of meaning, or that, maybe not that everything has meaning per se, but everything is just something to be decided. You're living your life where everything is to be decided. Everything is coming through you to be decided. And you just want to kind of give that up. You want to lay that all down. And you say, dude, there's too many decisions to be made. Can I live a sort of existence, with a balance between that, where there's a part of me, there's a part of living where I'm doing the deciding, and there's a part of living where the deciding is done for me? Help me. Please help me. I'll give you the answer. I'll give you the answer to that. TLDR, the answer to that, you want to step away from the life where you decide everything and you're just making decision after decision after decision after decision, and you're the dude that quit. You're the dude that quit. Oh, but you're my best worker. I've never seen such a man put up all the fences. I've never seen a man put up all the fence posts, and this potato business, it's decision after decision after decision after decision. I want out. I don't like this. What is the answer? What is the antidote and the remedy to it? You're not going to like this very much, or maybe you will. When your mind, when whatever that pygmy flute sort of, feedback, whenever that echolocation, whenever you send something out and then it sends something back to you, take that answer for what it is and stop questioning it, and just basically in that moment of things, shut up and eat it like it is, okay? Stop. In that moment, I swear, let go, okay? Stop. Forget the FOMO. Stop. Stop thinking that, is there something that I'm missing right now? Is there something that I'm forgetting? Dude, if you're at the grocery store and you've got the one thing that you went for, if you're there and you're on your way out, stop thinking there's another bird to grab. Stop thinking that, can I please remember in this moment of things that I need to go get the black pepper. Let go. Let go in that moment and just dude, find the door, okay? Find the door. There's a time to be very much enveloped in, you know, all that is. But when you get the thing, when the thing is obtained, be gone. Okay? Be gone. Just take part in the surrender. Okay? Take part in the letting go of wanting, of wishing you can just have everything all together and that you're even in charge of that. Dude, be okay with taking a second trip. We will be disillusioned 1,000 times out of 1,000 times for every moment that we think that the object of everything is to simply get it done and do it as efficiently as possible. That we want to be effective with our time. We want to be as efficient as possible. I mean, maybe, kind of, yes. But how much of that is injected through our culture from before, you know, from the before times? You know, how much of that has been injected into our... For example, everybody born in our culture today will grow up with technology, will grow up with cell phones, will grow up with the internet. There was no before time. There was no before the internet. We're living in a time where there is no before the internet. Everybody who lives nowadays was born into the internet era, was born into the era of cell phones, was born into the era of Netflix. What I'm getting at is, you know, how much of how we're living is predicated on the idea that we're born into a system where we have been injected with, you gotta be efficient. You gotta, when you go to the grocery store, fucking furl you. It's prevalent that you get all the things that we had on the list. And make sure you remember it all and you don't forget any of it. And somehow, like, that's what your mind will just grab onto, hold on to, and it's like it's saving grace. And meanwhile, if that's what you're holding on to, if that's what you're thinking about, there's a whole part of life that you never even get to really experience, because your life is no longer this sort of narrative. It's no longer this unfolding of all these non-events and all these little, you know, freaks and strangers events. You just turn into a gnarled piece of knot out there in the world, just so self-absorbed and focused in on your own little, you know, getting and obtaining and maintaining and operating, and the actual sustenance of life, the actual life, you know, the actual raw materials and ingredients of life are things that you actively begin to resent and hold hostility towards, that they are obstacles that get in your way. And you become disillusioned, you become like completely angry, adverse, and at odds with the world.
be massive for him for the sport. And
good Lord. Okay. I think I'm getting out of here now. I'm no good at goodbyes because I can't snap things shut. You know, I can't close doors. I can open doors like the best of them, dude. I can open doors like you wouldn't fucking believe. It's closing of the doors that I have any sort of issue with. I always think to myself, like, is this over? Am I done? Is there maybe more? You know, this definitely is like within the same sort of realm of behavior that I mentioned before about just, you know, being able to ditch the fucking even thinking of getting the black pepper. Just go, dude. Go, dude, go. But I can't. You know, I hold on tightly, I let go lightly. I crash with the greatest of them, and the surge that pulls me back. I'll just say that is what it is, dude. I am going to go now, perhaps. I hope that this was helpful to you in some way. Me, myself, here's where I get caught. I mean, I get caught in the decision of it. You see, here's the very specific, like, zoomed in, magnified case for this. I have one croissant at the house right now. I think to myself, I should go out and get a little pack of croissants. I should get the really delicious, like, flaky, you know, moist, buttery ones. Just the small 2-pack one that you can go get from Publix. You know, the gourmet ones. The ones that are, like, really, really, like, attention to detail made. The artisan ones. Not the ones that are just, like, mass-produced. These ones, I don't know, for whatever reason, I like these ones more. And I don't want to go to Costco to get a whole bulk thing of them because, what if they get moldy before I can finish them? And I don't want to go get the Walmart ones because those ones just, like, sort of reek of just, like, mass-produced sort of, like, artificiality, just assembly line. No one gives a shit about it. It's just, yeah, just fill it up with, like, the good-tasting stuff. But, everything else, who gives a shit? So I want to get something that's really nice, artisan, really handcrafted. You could see the quality of it. It's great. And then, just the sort of middle ground, the right portion, the right quality, the right price. And then I think to myself, I have one croissant left over. Should I do this today? Should I go and get the croissant today? Or should I wait till tomorrow when, because What am I going to do? The FIFO method? Am I going to do first in, first out on my whole life right now? I'm going to eat the croissant that was there before, even though it's not like, it's the vegan croissant it's older, or should I eat the new one and let that other one get older as I... What the... Why is this the kind of... Why? Why is this the kind of maelstrom, just the fucking... Why is this the tornado that it is when it's just a croissant? Can I not just have, like, the lowest computing power possible thrown into this decision? Why is this the kind of decision that it is? And I'll tell you what, there is no escape to that, because life is what life is, and all of what life is what this kind of thing is, okay? All of life's decisions come down to, you know, how you choose to live, how you choose to decide things. And so, this is merely, like, this is the contents brought to you by your awareness. This is the contents of what you're aware of. This is the contents of your consciousness. This is the contents of your conscious experience. And you can wish it to be of other things, to be of deeper nature, but it's like until you like realize that you can't just like change the channel to find something that's calling to you. You can't just change the channel to find what it is that is just better. You know? But to get better, to find better, it's a homegrown process. The grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. It's not that there's going to be better contents elsewhere. There's going to be better contents where you're not currently. It's that the contents will enhance themselves to you know, they will be fruitful to the extent you know, to the ability that you have to extract what it is that is valuable from it, valuable of it, from it. And dude, I think that's really pretty much, that's like the nail on the head, right? Can I go now? Can I go now? Can I go do more things? Can I go? Am I done here? Have I served my purpose yet? Okay. You know what? I think that was nice. I'm gonna go. I'm happy with that. I'm happy enough with that to the point where I can go and I can leave sort of lightly enthused and mildly pleased with everything so far. And that everything is fractal and I can go on for eons. I really could. But at some point, it's like, please. And so if it's please, I'll say thank you. Since I said thank you, I gotta hit him with the you're welcome. You know, what comes after you're welcome? We'll do it again. I'll see you later. That's what comes. Dude, I suck at goodbyes, bro. I'm no good at goodbyes. Sorry. I'll see you later. Thank you.